Okay, all right, let's move on to the third reading, Esther chapter 6. On that night, the king could not sleep. He commanded the book of the records of the chronicles be brought, and they were read to the king. It was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, who were doorkeepers, who had tried to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. The king said, "What honor and dignity has been given to Mordecai for this?" Then the king's servants who attended him said, Nothing has been done for him." The king said, "Who is in this court? In the court?" Now Haman had come into the outer court of the king's house to speak to the king about hanging Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. The king's servant said to him, "Behold, Haman stands in the court." The king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in. The king said to him, "What shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor?" Now Haman said in his heart, "Who would the king delight to honor more than myself?" Haman said to the king, "For the man whom the king delights to honor, let royal clothing be brought, which the king uses to wear, and the horse that the king rides on, and on the head on which the royal crown is set. Let the clothing and the horse be delivered to the hand of the one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man whom the king delights to honor with them, and have him ride on horseback through the city square, and proclaim before him, Thus it shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." Then the king said to Haman, "Hurry, take the clothing and the horse." And then she said, "And do this for Mordecai." Mordecai the Jew. He said, "Do this for you." No, do this for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Let nothing fall of all that you have spoken. Then Haman took the clothing and the horse and arrayed Mordecai and had him ride through the city square and proclaim before him, "Thus it shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." Mordecai came back to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning and having his head covered. So embarrassing. Chato. Haman recounted to Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had happened to him. Then his wise men and Zeresh his wife said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom you've begun to fall, is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but you will surely fall before him." While they were yet talking with him, the king's eunuch came and hurried to bring Haman to the banquet that Esther had prepared. So much coincidences. Just so happened that the king couldn't sleep. Just so happened that he was reading about that one thing that Mordecai did. Just so happened that Haman was coming at that point of time when the king said, "Who's in the court? Who's there?" And Haman is coming there. Just so happened to tell the king to kill Mordecai. And just so happened the king tells him to do this amazing thing for something that Haman thinks is for himself. And he says, "No, do it for Mordecai, your mortal enemy, the one that he thought he was going to kill." Now he has to cover with the king's robe, put on the king's horse, and he himself lead through the streets. This person, his enemy, the person he hates with a vengeance, going, "Look here, this is what the king does for someone he honors." He must be, every word must have been so hard to come out of his mouth. How can I be in this position now? Why am I praising this guy whom I wanted to kill? And then he goes back home and he runs back home. Actually, he covers his head and he calls his wife and his same friends. The same wife and the same friends who said, build this gallows, tell the king to kill him. The same friends who now tell him, oh wow, if Mordecai, I think it's his wife who tells him, if this Mordecai is a Jew, and remember you wanted to kill all the Jews, if he is a Jew, then wow, nothing you do, you're going to lose. You will surely fall before him. And just at that point of time, the servants come out and say, "Hey, it's time to go for dinner, for Esther's dinner." And it's this bang, 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 happenstance, circumstance, coincidences that show that none of it is a coincidence. If one of it maybe, but all of it happening at the same time, only God could have done this. Now, God is not mentioned in this chapter or throughout the entire book of Esther, but it's one of those amazing details that shows how you evangelize to people who don't recognize that there is a God. How would you evangelize someone like Haman? How would you get the word through to him? When he thinks that he's in control, he can order the events, he has the money, he has the influence, he has the power to influence even a king, shows that there's a greater power, who has greater resources, who can use everything, including your own plans to destroy others, to glorify himself. There is a God in the backdrop ordering all these events. And it's amazing. He's able to cause the king not to sleep. He's able to bring up the right page and to arrange it such that, Mordecai wasn't honored at that point of time, such that at this point of time, there's still this death sentence over Mordecai's head, over all his people. And, God ordered this, also ordered all of that. And it's worth putting both together. God isn't just God when all things happen your way. And of course we go here, of course, God is God. When you're on the horse, imagine you're Mordecai and, your enemy is singing out your praises, go, ha 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 ha, of course. Yeah, God is powerful. Now do you see it? But you see, God is the same God who caused that person to want to kill you in the first place. God is the same God who caused Mordecai to recognize that there was this assassination attempt and not be recognized. For him not to be paid for it. You might say, where is God when I didn't get that promotion? I worked so hard in that, or I served in that ministry. I already honored him. I did it in the right way. I did the right thing. And no one said thank you. God is still God in that. So that in the right time, when it is God's time, and God orders everything to happen according to his purposes, he gets the glory, not us. He gets the praise, not us. And he is God, not us. And so this is a message not just for people like Haman, don't try to go against God. But actually people like Mordecai, don't ever lose trust in a God who's able to bring about great good, but who's also able to bring this good through great evil. God is always God if he is God. So that's Esther chapter 6.